All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's get started. Let me take a sip of water real quick, and then we'll get started.
This is the quickest we've ever logged on Saturday.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, let's get started in 3, 2, and 1. Hello and welcome to the Wise Guys podcast. I'm your host, Brady Fitzgerald, joined as always by my co-host, Chris Hagan. I didn't hear you. How are we doing? We're gonna have to restart this recording real quick. You're mute.
Mute?
Oh, now you're not.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I think I opened too many things at once.
No worries. Well, I'll just redo it. All right.
Okay.
Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Wise Guys podcast. I am your host, Brady Fitzgerald, joined as always by my co-host, Chris Hagan.
How you guys doing?
Doing good today, Chris. We are back. Our Wise picks went 5-1. Very important.
Needed it.
Yeah, we definitely needed it. After going 0-2, or after going 0-3, I made the 3-0 sandwich. Actually, I went 3-0, 2 0-3 weeks, and 3-0 again. So good to get that monkey off my back. It was good to see some green. Let's start off with, it's a Sunday night game. We'll start off with the one loss. The Steelers -1.5. Rain delay game. Game started at do you even know when it actually started? I think it was probably 9:30, 9:45.
It was 9. Yeah, I was gonna say 9:45. It was late. I didn't stay up for this game. I don't know if you did.
No, I did not.
But
I saw
we're both adults now. Like if this was college, it'd be like our perfect time for a game to start.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I think we might be seeing a limited Steelers offense.
Yeah, definitely a limited Steelers offense.
I might have gotten too excited about Justin Fields after last week.
Yeah.
Because we were like, they really only look bad because of that one fumbled snap. Yeah, I might go back. I have to regress my take a little bit on this Justin Fields led offense. I'm not as excited as I was before. Not that I was ever super excited, but it seemed like they were getting better every week, and we saw some regression here.
Yeah, this was the first time in a while we saw some regression. First time this season, I guess, for Justin Fields. As you said, last week, he played a super great game. He had that fumbled snap. We had George Pickens fumble out of the end zone. They just can't really move the ball all that well. And if Dak did throw 2 interceptions. It was funny that he threw the first quarterback to throw 2 interceptions on back-to-back days because it turned into Monday halfway through the game. But the Steelers defense, they played pretty well, but they didn't get them into the field position that they needed to score. And Justin Fields couldn't capitalize on it. Their run game was abysmal yet again. They really, when it's just Najee in there, they're terrible. They really need Cordell Patterson. They need Warren out there.
It was a classic Najee game.
It was.
If you just play the box score game, yeah.
And he led the league it's not the league, of course, but the team in receiving, which is also a hilarious stat.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not good never.
I also I might have been too quick to bury the Cowboys. I don't think they're as good as they were the last, I think 3 years in a row they've gone 12-5. It's still a solid football team. It shouldn't have been this quick to write them off the rest of the season, especially defensively. So they end up there.
They they will have games like this where they can squeak out wins, but they still only scored 20 points. Their offense did not look um, very successful in a lot of the drives. They just did just enough to win.
Mhm.
I mean, if they have better games, like Dak had a decent game besides the intercept turnovers. If you have more games like Jalen Tolbert had and James Ferguson, and you have a CeeDee Lamb game where he gets 150, then maybe we can win 35-21. But I agree. I think the Cowboys are definitely not as bad as we thought, but they're coming up on the Lions and then the 49ers. I think they lose.
Yeah, they still have that gauntlet
Yeah.
of a schedule. So
All right, but that was the
I
one,
also,
the
if
one
we're
loss.
my preseason pick of Zeke to get like 500 yards, I think,
Oh yeah, it's not covered. It's
was
not
his
sniffing.
total. Yeah. Seems like he's lost his number one spot.
Yeah, I don't think he's. I don't think Rico Dow had his first like pretty decent game as the number one guy.
Mhm.
So maybe they can find something consistent in there. All right, let's move on to the winners. Let's go. I'm gonna go with the earliest game, 9:30 London game. The not that I was gonna say the Jaguars, but no, the Vikings were playing the Jets.
Next week.
Yeah, next week.
Actually, next 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, they're there for 2 weeks. The Vikings played the Jets. Aaron Rodgers did not look good. The Jets offense did not look good. Garrett Wilson finally started going. Sam Darnold he didn't turn into a pumpkin because he didn't lose in the game, but he didn't play great. He wasn't the MVP Darnold that we all have seen.
It's a disappointing revenge game.
Yes,
for sure.
Definitely a disappointing revenge game. He got injured towards the end of it. I think a huge part of it was Aaron Jones got injured like halfway through the game. If that doesn't happen, I think their run game is pretty similar to it has been. And then that opens up the play action and stuff like that. Probably easier for Darnold. Definitely a different game plan with Aaron Jones out. But they did enough to win. Their defense did what we expected. They were all over Rodgers. They got 3 interceptions from him and a pick 6 from Van Ginkel. Right? Yeah.
That's
right.
a monster.
Yeah.
I don't know why his contract was so small.
We were on that though. We were on. We were on
that.
We were on Van Ginkel, especially
just because he doesn't look like a football player.
Yeah, and it's like a German name. Like I don't know. I feel like the German guys slip under the radars.
I just remember that the Miami Pats game at the beginning of last year, when he was on the Dolphins, he was flying around. I was like, man, who's this guy?
Yeah, so, he's nice with it.
It's not like I'm watching film every week and saying that, this guy's criminally underrated. Like I saw one game of his, and he got a contract. I was like, thought he was better. So I won't act like I'm a genius on that, but Brian Flores has a defense flying around. I think we kind of, you obviously made the pick, so predicted that this was not a great matchup.
Yeah.
For a defense that plays as aggressively as they do against an older quarterback who started to look like he was struggling last week, and it just got worse this week. I guess they scored more points, but 3 picks is not good.
I mean,
they're not in a good spot right now.
I went through this last episode, and it was part of why I made the pick. And it's funny because the Vikings never scored 24, but they haven't scored 25 points this whole season in a game.
The Jets,
and that's an Aaron like that. That's just an Aaron Rodgers led team. Can't be having that. Breece Hall too looked bad. Just not looked good. Braylon Allen seems like the better player every time he has the ball. But I guess it was a good sign for Jets fans that Garrett Wilson got cooking. He got like 13 catches, so that's a good sign.
If you want to take away one positive.
Yeah.
And you didn't get shredded by Darnold, which is probably like.
It's probably a good sign
for you.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
That would have been tough to swallow.
Yeah, 100%.
Not even for your, I guess for your defense, but also just for like, you were the ones that drafted him and had to trade him away. So would have been like a dagger to the chest to have him go full revenge game mode.
Both quarterbacks got crunched in this game. Darnold actually had to leave a play, and Rodgers I don't think ever left, but they both got splattered in this game in London. I don't know what that means, but I wanted to point that out. All right. Let's go with the
Good
under.
observation.
Yeah, thank you. I'll go
Only
with the-
only undefeated team left, right?
yeah.
Vikings.
Well, and the Chiefs.
I
For
mean,
tonight.
oh
Yeah.
NFC, only NFC.
Yep.
If anybody has a receipt from the preseason saying that they'd have the Vikings as the 1 seed through 5 weeks, then you can get a special feature
They might deserve the
for
show.
podcast. Let's not go that far.
All right.
They can make their own show.
That's true. We'll give
Compete
them
with us. You've
yeah.
earned the right to compete with us for views.
Yeah, because nobody has a podcast anymore, so it's really like we're like the only ones really that have a podcast.
Yeah, man in the arena.
yeah,
Man in the arena.
We are the guys in the arena. All right, let's take care of the Pats. This game was abysmal. Everything you would have thought of for a terrible Pats Dolphins game. The Pats actually had a chance to win this game. They come down in the last minute of the game. They drive all the way down. They throw a touchdown pass that they call out of bounds. I would get mad like if it just wasn't so miserable. Like there's no reason to get mad. Stevenson got benched. He got benched for like 2 plays and then ran all over the yard. So I guess that benching was a good sign for him. And I don't know. I guess Gibson rushed well. Like the offense was moving a little bit, but 160 yards for 34 passes for Jacoby Brissett is just abysmal. He's awful. He's really, really bad. He's worse than I thought. And
has like a 3-game cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had him 3 weeks in a row. And you're like, Jacoby Brissett is actually not that bad. It happened when he was on the Colts. The same thing happened.
Yeah, and then that 4th game comes.
Like, it's a couple weeks, and I was like, oh, like they might actually have a shot at the playoffs with him. No. And just no.
I think like apparently there's rumors they might want to start Drake May come this Texans game. The Texans just bullied the Bills.
Yeah, I don't
offense, so I don't know if that's a good idea. I guess it gives them a spark, but
Jags next.
I think the coaching staff is just that bad. I don't know if it's worth putting in Drake May, and I don't know. I think this coaching staff's horrendous, and I think the team itself is falling.
Really? Already? You're ready to give up on the coaching
staff? Not Mayo himself, but like the offensive coordinator has shown me.
Did you say he got his guys in?
No, I don't think he got his guys in. I think he got guys in.
Oh, I thought we had a whole conversation about guys.
I didn't think that all offensive. It was the Browns' offensive coordinator from last year, and I don't know. He got fired for a reason. I don't know. I'm very pessimistic about this Pats team. They make dumb calls. They make dumb plays. It's brutal.
I hit the under, though. So.
Yeah. That's the pick.
Whining pick.
Yeah. That was my whining.
Room to spare.
Yeah, you want to pick with 11 points to spare. It was
never 20. Honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it was never gonna come this close. It was Dolphins just
when the Pats scored in the first quarter. I was like, they flashed the score up at the stadium, and I was like, oh no. I was like, flashed it again at halftime, and I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, 7-3 at halftime. We were looking pretty.
Yeah.
It was 7-3 for so long. I was playing golf, and I just remember hole after hole, it was still 7-3. Nothing, no update. And I just,
how'd you shoot?
No, I shot well. We didn't keep score. This is like my 3rd time playing 18, so not keeping score yet, but shot pretty well. I thought I played well. Played better than the Pats played. I'll give you that. All right. Let's go with. We'll save the money lines for the end. We'll go with the revenge game. Stephon Diggs versus the Bills. He had this pretty much cleared in the first half. He needed like 6 or 7 yards to complete it in the first half. Got it. Nico Collins went down too. He had big plays right at the beginning. Their offense kind of staggered.
Like 9 snaps, but
say again.
80 yards and a touchdown when he went out. He only played 9 snaps.
Yeah, and had
touchdown.
He was the whole offense when he was out there. They kind of staggered a little bit when he was out. They got up early. The Texans. did enough to milk the game away. The Bills really kind of blew it in the fourth quarter. They had a chance to run down the clock and kick a field goal to tie it and take it to overtime. They left too much time on the clock, punted it back to the Texans. Texans drive right down the field, kick a field goal, call it a day. This is why you take your field goals. They just salted the wound at the end. They were up. They didn't go for any stupid fourth downs. They just kept taking field goals and ended up winning the game. Bills definitely struggled. They were
the Bills. They had the ball at the end of the game, right?
Yeah,
like deep in their own territory and threw the ball 3 times.
Yes,
and then had to punt back to the Texans.
Yeah, so awful clock management.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
really bad.
A bad way to lose a football game, especially a game that you were down 20-3 and came back in.
And they had no business being in there. They had absolutely no business being in there. A crucial interception by Stroud got him back into the game. And Allen played terrible. I mean, he was 9 for 30, 131 yards, 1 touchdown. It is, I think I heard the stat that is the worst yardage a quarterback has had for, no, there's no way that's true. But it's a very bad. I was gonna say I thought the stat was worst completion, or like they for 30 attempts, 131 yards is like historically bad. But there's no way. Jacoby Brissett definitely had more than 30 attempts and had less than that. But anyways,
he did. He had 34, I think we said.
No, but he had 160
though.
Too. He had 160 though, so maybe it is.
160.
But Allen played really bad. They definitely missed Shakir over the middle. He's like their drag route guy, and they didn't have him cooking at all. I would like to see them use Curtis Samuel a little bit more. Even the Commanders got to use him for a couple plays in the season whenever they had him. So maybe we see a game.
He's not that good.
He's I know, but you can scheme him up. Yeah. He's a scheme guy though. You scheme him up to get a quick touchdown, something creative. I feel like that's gonna happen at some point.
That's like Ron. Like, oh yeah, versatile. He's a weapon.
Oh yeah. That's what he was when he was coming into. That's what I thought he was when he was coming into Washington. Another gift.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's just not that good.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, that's a fair point. But we're definitely missing Shakir. They weren't able to move the ball.
Yeah. Did we get too excited about the Bills? Because this has come crashing back down to earth. And I know they played 2 really good teams the last 2 weeks. Like Baltimore at Sunday night, kind of a write-off. But then, like, this was ugly.
Yeah, I think with the Bills, they haven't been able to get into a rhythm. I mean, they were able to get into a rhythm after the stumble at the beginning of the Cardinals game. Then they were in a rhythm the whole Dolphins game. They're in a rhythm the whole Jags game. They doesn't seem like they've been in a rhythm the last 2 games at all. Haven't been able to finish drives, just weird plays, weird play calls. They faced 2 really good defensive lines that got to Allen really quickly and ruffled him up really quickly. I think they play the Jets next on Monday Night Football. I think it really depends on how hot the Jets defense starts, if they can get to Allen quickly, and if they can find this rhythm that they've been missing for the past 2 weeks. And I trust Josh Allen. I trust the offense. I think they'll be all right. I don't think there's reason to panic.
They need to get back home. This is their 3rd away game in a row against the Jets.
Yeah, they do need to get back home.
That's kind of messed up.
Right? And I don't know.
Against 3 good teams, too.
Yeah, their schedule's not great. They do need to get home. They play the Titans. That'll be a good get-right game, playing the Titans at home. But they definitely need this game against the Jets. And the Jets need it too. So this is we're getting into some good games here. We're getting some hairy. Good games.
Some desperation games.
Yeah. All right, let's go back with the picks. The 2 money lines we got. Let's take the.
Yeah, I think we even talked about Diggs, did we?
Yeah, we did. We talked about Diggs.
You might. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the pick, not
yeah, not the Texans. Jags money line. I was nervous. I was real nervous. They're down 17. Was it 17 nothing?
This was another
Did it get that
one
bad?
where no. No, it was they were up at halftime.
Okay. They were up 13-10. They were down 7 nothing for a while though in the first quarter, and I was nervous.
Yeah.
They did almost everything to lose this game yet again in the fourth quarter. Joe Flacco comes roaring back with 24 points in the fourth quarter.
41 points total in the fourth quarter.
All of a sudden, it's a game again.
Is insane.
If you're the Colts, do you just? I think we just start Joe Flacco. We shadow benched Richardson.
I don't think you can do that. All
right. Why not? Why not? Just because he didn't win this game, or because their offense looks 10 times better when he's in
here? It does, but I think like organizationally, you're committed to seeing what you got with Richardson.
Yeah.
And he's already the guy who's played like 12 games of football in his career. So if you're invested in him,
you need him to play more football.
Like he's got to play.
Yeah.
He's got to be out there. But then you could run into the issue later in the season if they got more games with him of the locker room saying we are good enough to go to the playoffs, and we can't because the wrong guy's taking snaps. So I think if that happens, you have no choice. But at this point, no. It's weird that it's like we'd almost rather see Flacco play than Richardson for all of the hype this summer. Like, I'd rather see Flacco play.
Joe Flacco's a surgeon.
What a weird world.
The first drive, he was 7 for 7, 75 yards, a touchdown, just eviscerating the defense. And they had a fumble. Their running game was terrible. And that's really what cost them the game. And the fact that they came roaring back, they're right at the end. Jags were able to finish it off, luckily, for the Jags, I guess. Trevor Lawrence.
The picks.
Yeah, for the picks too. Trevor Lawrence actually connected on some deep balls. Brian Thomas looked awesome. Christian Kirk looked pretty good. They got the Tanks Bigsby running. They just kind of benched Travis Etienne, but that's like whatever keeps the running game flowing. And Tanks Bigsby's been the better running back this whole year. Finally becomes the RB1 this game and runs all over them. Good game by the Jags. It's still like all this. They had all these things connect, and they still only won by 3 points, which I think is an issue. But at least they got a win. At least they got a win out here.
Yeah, I mean, talk about desperation.
Oh yeah. That was definitely some.
They win this team in the league, and they really did. It is insane how hard they tried to play this game.
Oh yeah.
I still think that Doug Peterson is toast as the coach, but at least like good for Trevor.
Yeah,
he needed this.
I agree.
Desperately needed this.
100% agree.
This is like the first time all season that we can say that he looked good, and maybe he's not just soiled. Like it's in there. You know it's in there, and that's a pretty porous Colts defense. That's been one of the things that surprised me the most in the AFC, at least.
That's how bad that
defense is.
Yeah,
I think we just always assume that they have a decent defense. But
yeah, that's
they're
true.
A disaster.
Yeah, they are a disaster. The Jags have the Bears and the Pats next, both in London. I forgot that the Pats are going to London. That's just like mean, making me wake up at 9:30 to watch this on a Sunday.
You play golf during your game this Sunday.
That's true.
Sleep
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Anywho, this should be a good step in the right direction. They're getting an easier schedule the next 2 games. Then they have to play some better competition. So hopefully Trevor continues on this direction and they're not in the dumpster by in a couple weeks. All right, Broncos. I'm back, baby. They were down 10-0. They get a 100-yard pick six. That's kind of all she wrote after that. They just dominated the Raiders after that. The Raiders had to bench Gardner Minshew yet again. Aiden O'Connell ended up with more passing attempts. Not a good sign.
No, that's not a good sign.
No.
It's not a good sign at all.
Bo Nix looked good. Still a lot of checkdowns, but he was passing
Yeah, of
a
course.
bunch of different receivers. So I guess if you're a coaching staff, it's probably a good sign. He did enough to win the game. He got another rushing touchdown. I feel like he gets one. Seems like it's almost every week he's getting a rushing touchdown.
He could scoot.
Yeah. And that was a cool. Did you see it was like a Drew Brees-esque QB sneak where he jumps over the center? I guess you were probably at the.
I didn't
you were
see
probably,
that.
Yeah, you were probably watching the Phillies at this point. But he jumps over
Yes.
just like Drew Brees did it with Sean Payton back in the day. So it was the Broncos uniforms looked nice. It was and the
Yeah,
Raiders,
they can't lose
Raiders
when they wear those.
Yeah, they're real nice.
Those uniforms are some of the best in the sport, I think.
The run game was terrible for the Raiders. The passing game was good the first drive, and that's about it. First 2 drives, and that's about it. And then they just couldn't finish drives. They couldn't compete. And the Broncos defense has talking about surprising AFC defenses. The Broncos defense is a very surprising defense to us, at least for me. I thought they were going to be terrible. And
yeah, I remember doing the preseason preview, and I was like, name a defender for the Broncos.
Yeah, and it was Surtain, and that was it.
That's Surtain.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will also apologize for that. If we were wrong, and I actually thought that they were the worst team in the NFL, and they're 3-2, and
they're going to be like 9. I'm telling you, they're going to be like 9-6.
It might be. I mean, should Sean Payton get a little bit of credit for that?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, let's not go there yet. They still scored 6 points in one of their games so far, but let's we'll figure that out when they still have an easy schedule though. Going in the Ravens game, they got Chargers,
Won
Saints,
3 games in a row.
Broncos, Panthers. It's
Chargers,
might-
Saints, Panthers.
they might win 3 more.
Yeah, I think the Chargers will beat them, and I don't think they'll win at the Dome either.
Sean Payton revenge game.
I know.
They're definitely an interesting team to follow. Like I thought they were going to be a dumpster fire, and
They
they're
are,
definitely a lot
yeah.
of fun. And that's
Are they fun?
yeah, I think so.
They can be.
They can be
They
fun.
can be fun.
Because Bo
Also
Nix
be
can also be like
really gross.
Will Levis, and
Bo Nix could be. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bo Nix is wild.
yeah,
He's a good watch. I will say that.
yes, 100%.
That's a brutal comparison. He
Will
can be like
Levis?
Will Levis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got? We got, I guess.
That does it, right?
Let's go to the.
Picks 5-1. Oh, last thing on that game, I will say I'm glad that I swallowed my pride and didn't take the Raiders because of our preseason debate about those two teams, because that just would have been another L on the board. So you win this one, but
I know it's like we almost want to avoid Wise Bowls. We want to get 6-0 weeks. That's what we want.
we just want wins. Yeah,
we want 6-0.
we'll have one eventually. It just hasn't.
It has to be
hasn't come
natural.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Last year, I think it was week 1.
Yeah, I think we did have week 1 right away. Let's go with the Commanders. You were at the game. How was it like? Is the atmosphere different? Is there a new vibe in Washington? What's going on?
It's very different. Yeah, in terms of the actual football game, it was almost like annoying to be up by as much as they were at the end of the game, because when you're there, it's like we're just gonna sit here and kind of wait this out. People started leaving like a couple minutes into the fourth quarter because they were up 34-6,
Yeah.
and like the Browns fans that were there started leaving, but like the Commanders fans were like, I guess we'll leave too.
Yeah.
This game is over. Yeah, it was weird being in that situation
Mm-hmm.
for once, where you're not leaving in like disgrace. I've done that walk back to the car a lot of times, and it's usually pretty silent. It was not silent. I did hear a Browns fan trying to console his girlfriend who was really upset about the team, and he said, babe, Browns are still a good team. If you put them up against any college football team, they would win. That was one of the best lines I've ever heard.
That's hilarious.
from an opposing fan. But it was like, I know the Browns have had plenty of suffering. So, like, I feel a little bit bad for the fans because they didn't trade for Watson.
Yeah.
But to be able to walk out and hear that and be on the other side of it
Yeah.
was a very refreshing feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this guy, like, when we were walking out, there was this guy in the bathroom that was, like, high-fiving everybody before we got to the urinals and after. But he's just, like, like, literally every person that walks by him, you just look at him, man, like, it's so awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome. So yeah, the atmosphere was unbelievable. I'm assuming it was a sellout. From my seats, I couldn't see the upper deck because we were under the overhang a little bit. But it was a packed house. It was loud. And yeah, there a lot of cheering the first half.
Oh yeah.
It was like it was a little dicey at first. They stopped the Browns on a 4th down, and then went 3 and out, and then stopped the Browns again, and then went all the way down at like the 3 and Jaden threw a pick in the end zone. I was like, oh, I don't like this at all. Because that defense is solid.
Yeah.
I think the issue with the Browns is that defense has to go out like after a couple series, they realize that they're not going to score a point.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, this is stupid. Like, why are we busting our asses
Yeah.
out here? That stops when if we give up a single point, like we're basically screwed.
Mm-hmm.
So then things started to unravel after probably their 3rd or 4th drive, and then they were getting like Eckler busted off a couple big runs. Daniels was okay.
Yeah.
He finished like 11 for 21. His worst passing game so far. But it's literally like a free 4th down conversion when they have 4th and short.
Yeah.
Darius Smith was just getting cooked, like trying to set the edge against him on a 4th down. There's one with him and there's one with JOK. But like every time Zadarius Smith would like have him, it was just so easy for Daniels to roll outside of him and go pick up the 1st down. And the one where he got like 30 yards running the ball, Darius Smith like had to dive for his ankles and missed him, and he just sat there on his knees and like stared forward. And it was such a funny visual because like that's what he makes people do. He makes people feel that helpless. Like, what do I even do? I just bust my ass for the 20th time this game and I can't get him. So they did get to him a couple times, but not outside the pocket, not once. Myles Garrett didn't register a single statistic. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't.
The first time in his career.
Damn.
No tackles, no sacks, no deflections, nothing.
Damn.
So yeah, they like he got to him a couple times, like got in his face, but it did a pretty good job for who they have at left tackle. It was pretty impressive. Which they rotate. They play Cornelius Lucas, and then they put in Brandon Coleman. I think Coleman started though, but it's weird. I have to see the snap counts because I couldn't tell what the numbers were from where I was. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say Commanders defense on the other side got to Watson 7 times.
Yeah, I mean it's watching him it's hard. He is horrendous.
Yeah.
And that 4th down play, did you see when he the play he walked off the field?
Yeah.
That was one of the most pathetic things that I've ever seen, I think. And I'm sitting there I didn't know what was going on. He just they huddle up, they start to huddle up, and I was like, damn, they're going for this. I guess they are down 3 touchdowns. And he just starts walking off the field, and the rest of the team is standing there they didn't call a timeout because the rest of the team was literally looking. They didn't know what was going on either. And Stefanski, did you see the shot of Stefanski? He's literally looked like he was gonna strangle him. It was a weird situation. But he's his body language is so bad. They need to bench him.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you could possibly keep running him out there.
No, I don't know either. They were talking about it all over when the Sunday Night Football was delayed. They were talking about it, and it doesn't matter how much you pay him at this point. If he's a offensive lineman doing this thing, if he's a defender doing this thing, it's next guy up. And they have a competent backup quarterback in Jameis Winston, who we've seen throw for 500 yards or 5,000 yards before in a season. And they have a good coaching staff. They made the playoffs last year when they benched him. Their whole defense, as you said, turned up the second they benched him because they realized they could score points. The answer is not trading Amari Cooper or trying to cut money somewhere else. The answer is benching Deshaun Watson and just eating it. You have to eat the sunk cost at this point. I don't know who is deciding, because it can't be Stefanski. If it was his choice, there's no way.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, is that it has to be coming from upstairs. But, like, if I were him, I would say, you can fire me if you want. Like,
Yeah.
I can explain the situation in my next interview.
Yeah. Ugh.
But yeah, it's a crappy situation. They are a hot mess.
They're gross. They're
I
real
like
gross.
that was my worry, was that at halftime they were going to put Winston in and the game was going to change.
Yeah.
Like, that was literally my only concern.
It would have
going
changed everything. It's the
coming
only
out for
hope
the
they
third
have,
quarter.
as you said. It's their only hope.
Yeah. And then, yeah, as soon as I saw him come onto the field, I was like, all right, that's a wrap. Even, like, the first play of the freaking third quarter, they fumbled. Washington fumbled. Browns get it, like, the 20-yard line. They actually run 2 plays to Amari Cooper that worked, and then have it at the 3-yard line, false start, incomplete, and then the 4th down debacle. So,
Just a gross.
yeah, it was nice seeing him get knocked around a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
Like, he had one play where he ran up the sideline and Sanders still hit him, not as hard as I would have liked, but he hit him pretty hard. And then Watson, like, shoved him after, and there's a little brouhaha on the sideline. And after that point, like, they were swallowing him up consistently. Frankie Louvu had his best game. That
Yeah, he had a
dude
pick,
just
right?
gets shot out of a cannon. He had
Oh, no, not a pick. Just
2
sacks.
sacks and a fumble recovery.
There you go. That's what it was. The fumble recovery.
Yeah. He's like a heat-seeking missile.
Hybrid.
And
Like a hybrid linebacker.
target is always on the quarterback.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny when he misses, though, and he'll just, like, run into a brick wall of a lineman and he'll just, like, pop off. But like, when he gets home, it's awesome. So you gotta have to live with that. I'm curious to see what his PFF grade will be, because that dude was flying around. Him and Wagner are I think Dan Quinn said this too, that, like, him and Bobby Wagner playing next to each other is so funny, because Bobby Wagner is the most, like, your typical middle linebacker, like, under control vet. Like,
Yeah.
he's there cleaning up the mess, making the tackles. And then Frankie Louvu is just all over the place, like, running around like a chicken with his head cut off. It's flying around, hitting people. But it works. It's worked the last 2 weeks. So we'll see how they look next week against a competent offense.
Yeah.
More than competent.
Yeah.
So that'll, yeah. Next week is the big test. But it's been unbelievable. Like, these last 2 weeks, it turns into a laugher by the fourth quarter.
If Jane Daniels keeps this up, why can't he be the MVP?
I mean, his numbers were not that good. He did have, like, 80 yards rushing.
That's the
But,
thing. He's
Like,
as
he threw a pick, and
all right,
yeah,
but like especially
they scored 3 rushing touchdowns.
like
Robinson
especially
had
in the
2.
so it's Lamar, and then it's Jane Daniels, right? That's like the list right now for MVP. Like, this is what we're talking about here.
Mahomes had the best odds the last time I checked,
That's garbage.
which
Mahomes-
is so ridiculous.
Yeah, that's absolutely garbage.
What about Baker?
Baker.
Where's
They
he
need-
at? Like,
I don't know. They have to continue to win football games, so maybe Kirko if they continue.
yeah, for that other night.
I don't know. They
I hope Kirk wins it. That would be cool.
Kirko
I
would
hope
be
Jade
fun.
wins it, obviously. But
Yeah, Jane Daniels is man right now, man. It
Yes,
does
the
have me
man.
jealous.
His
And
odds are plus 1,000. He's got the fifth best odds. It's Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Stroud, Daniels. Mahomes being in front of Lamar
that's
is
ridiculous.
such a crock of
Yeah,
crap.
that is garbage.
Yeah, I don't. That's so ridiculous.
What worries me,
Lamar has 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 1 pick. That's not even including his rushing stats.
yeah, that's really
I've
bad
become
odds.
weirdly, I've become a Lamar defender. It's like a full
It's like a full circle.
circle.
Yeah. The what was I gonna say? Crap. We were just talking about MVP odds. Talking about Jane Daniels.
Purdy took a big hit this week, unfortunately.
Yeah, our Purdy was looking good until they blew that game, and he kind of blew it too because he's been playing well, and he did have some drops in that game that were not his
That was
fault,
great.
but those interceptions were on him, and not a good look for Purdy.
Yeah, that was tough.
While we're on this game, the Niners have this weird thing where they're almost better when more players are injured.
The Niners?
So, hear me out. They finally get Devo back. They finally have George Kittle back, 100%. And then they only know how to use Ayuk and Kittle for this game. But when they're gone, they can use Jennings. They can use, I just feel like they're more creative when they have less guys. And of course, they're missing Christian McCaffrey, which matters way more than any of the wide receivers. Like he is completely changes their offense. So that's not what I'm talking about. But they don't know how to get all their receivers going at once. And Jawan Jennings is clearly a talented player. And Deebo Samuels, as we've seen, has been talented his whole career. And it's funny because I don't think Ayuk is as talented as them, and yet he becomes the number one wide receiver whenever he's healthy and practices for a while. But they were like they could only feed the ball to George Kittle and Ayuk, and they can't get the other guys going when I don't know when or why they can't get the guys going, but I haven't seen a game where all of them look good in a minute. Probably this whole season.
That's true. I don't know if that means that they're better without them though.
That's fair.
I think it might
Yeah.
they probably have to get more creative, but that wouldn't be sustainable.
Okay, I know what you're saying there. They're
I also think they might be too good at developing talent too. Like Jennings should not be this good. Like all of a sudden he has that game where he has 500 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like, oh wait a minute, their third receiver is also kind of a stud.
I don't know, and I guess we're making terrible. These are terrible analysis of they lost this game, and we're talking about how they have too much talent and would be better with injuries.
Too much talent to win.
But there's definitely something up with their defense. The Cardinals Kyler Murray didn't throw the ball very well, but he ran the ball all over them. James Conner ran the ball all over them, and they got the job done. When the Niners were up 23-10 in the
They
first
score
half.
a point. in the second game.
Not a second half point.
I mean that's on the offense.
Yeah, they were 0 for 1 on fourth downs or 6 for 11 on third downs. Not a winning formula, but it's funny. Like they almost out-yarded them. No, they did out-yard them. Got more first downs. They had more. They had the time to play more, but I don't know. They couldn't score at the end of the game, so those 2 interceptions were really, really rough on them.
Big hit to the Purdy MVP.
Yeah,
It's funny because we were saying this was get right game part 2, and it was for the first half.
Yeah.
They better beat the Seahawks on Thursday.
I know, and they're coming off a
They're
short
gonna be
week.
2-4.
Yeah, short week too, and
Yeah.
I don't
In
like them off a
Seattle.
short week. Yeah,
And then they
in
play the
Seattle.
Chiefs.
Yeah, and the Cowboys, and
I
then
mean,
the
they could
Bucks.
win back-to-back games, and then all of a sudden they're 4-3, and we're like, okay, they're fine.
Is this Brock Purdy MVP stretch? have these and the
Like
Cowboys
these next
game.
3.
If he ends that Cowboys game
Huge.
on fire, then the MVP is going
Yeah.
right into him.
Remember the 49ers just kicked the ever living shit out of the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football last year?
I feel like they do it every year on
That was
Sunday
one
Night
of
Football.
Fair.
They so what we're saying here is double down on your Brock Purdy MVP stock. Buy the dip.
Correct.
Yeah, buy the dip.
He has too much talent right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
As
he
soon
needs
as somebody gets hurt, as
Yeah,
soon
as
as
soon
Debo
as
goes down,
exactly. As soon as Zebo or Ayuk is down, they're back.
Yep.
They're back.
hammer it.
Speaking of Seattle, let's go to that game. A mind-blowing loss to the Giants.
This threw my brain for a loop.
The first touchdown of the game. It is a Giants touchdown. It is in the end zone. It gets popped out somehow. I don't know how it doesn't cross the plane. It's popped out, goes 90-something yards all the way down. Touchdown for the Seahawks. One of the biggest point swings in NFL history. And they don't capitalize on that. Geno doesn't look good at all. Doesn't look good this game. Daniel Jones actually looked pretty damn good. Tyrone Tracy, their new running back because Motor got hurt, played great. And
No neighbors. Darius Slayton, who I said sucked last week, literally just spat in my face.
Slayton is an anomaly for this Giants team. He's been on the team for so long. And every time, like, I swear, once a year we'll have one of these games where Darius Slayton goes off.
That's true, yeah.
For no reason.
Darius Slayton is criminally underrated.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, oh, and then he's on the trade block.
Into obscurity.
Yeah, and then he's on the trade block. And like, oh, all these teams might trade for him. Nobody ever trades for him. And then the Giants never use him. And it's like they didn't need to use him when they had Neighbors. But now all of a sudden they can use him. Like, why can't you run both of them at the same time? Wandale still did his thing.
Daniel Jones' brain doesn't work.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess they literally need one wide receiver to throw to. You throw one deep, and you throw to Wandale Robinson over the middle. And that's their whole game plan, and they just switched Neighbors with Slayton. And it worked. Somehow worked. Their defense played great. They swallowed up the Colts. I mean, not the Colts, sorry, the Seahawks. And the Seahawks like never ran the ball. How do you get a 90-yard fumble return and then never run the ball after that?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Honestly. No, it was
especially after last week when Kent Walker had like 3 carries and 200 yards. I think it's 5 carries this week.
Yeah, pretty bad.
That's
game
criminal.
Plan. Yeah, it really is criminal. Pretty bad game plan.
Who's their offensive coordinator?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
My computer keeps shutting down when I look stuff up, so I'm going to my phone.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I could look it up if you want. How many?
Ryan Grubb.
Oh. It's a cool last name though, Grubb.
I don't like this guy. Yeah, look at him. Just do the eye test.
Oh boy, the coaching eye test is always bad. Ryan Grubb.
With a beard, he looks fine. Looks rough without a beard.
See this Red Bull guy? No, that's a wakeboarder. If you look at Brian Glove, there's some
he looks like a
wake skater.
I keep seeing Shane Walker.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. He looks like the guy who used to coach the Colts, Chuck.
Chuck Pagano?
Yeah,
I can see that.
He does.
He looks like a defensive coach.
Yeah. Is that just because he's old and he has gray hair? Is that why he looks like a defensive coach?
He's bald with a goatee.
Yeah, I can see that. I think he was the OC for Washington. That's what it looks like.
Yes.
Where they threw it all over the yard with Michael Penix. I don't think their offense is too broken, but bad game plan against the Giants.
Yeah, I mean that's what you just have to.
Is this a look ahead game?
Look ahead game.
Like they were looking ahead to the Niners Thursday night. Not too worried about this Giants team. Also, I had a money line parlay that I just did literally at the golf course just right before the games. I went 6 for 7, and the goddamn Seahawks were minus 300 favorites, and they lost.
Did see that they were on the do not bet list.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're out of here. They're gone. If you can't beat the Giants, then you're off my list. Here. All right. Do we skip any early? Actually, we did skip the Bears.
We skipped the best game of the week.
What the? Oh yeah,
Ravens,
yeah. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get Bears. We'll get rid of right now. Caleb Williams look what happens when you have time in the pocket. He looked like the Heisman Trophy winner. He looked really good. Their offense looked great. They were moving the ball all over the place. The Panthers are very sorry. They had to bring back Bryce Young. Just wanted to note that out. That was
Why? Why did they do that?
I don't know why they did that.
They didn't have to do that.
That's just mean. Especially against the Bears. It's
Yeah.
like that's just mean. Like
No, that's what makes it mean.
yeah. Ugh. So mean.
Yeah.
Their defense sucks.
But yes,
though.
this is like, yeah, I mean, they're a horrible football team. Like, this is why we need to be a little bit patient with Caleb.
Yeah. 100%.
I seen about this and I was like, wow, like he finally looks good. And I was like, week 5. Like, it's not even finally. Like, it's ahead of schedule for him to be looking at.
Exactly. And I think what worries me, I was going to say this. Oh, this is what I was going to say with the MVP thing that I completely lost my mind. What worries me is
We completely derailed that conversation because Purdy.
oh yeah.
Talking about Purdy.
Yeah, we switched right to the Niners. But that's just what we do here. We just sniff, snap, sniff, snap.
Yep, that's right.
But back to that real quick. Caleb looked good this week. Jane Daniels has looked good in, 4 out of the 5 weeks? Would you say? 5 out of the 5 weeks? And,
Didn't?
yeah.
4.5.
And Bo has looked good in, 3.5. At least 2.5 out of the 5 games. What worries me is the law of quarterbacks is 50% of them have to fail in the first round. And we haven't seen Drake May yet.
At least.
And the other guys have looked good. So that makes me nervous.
Bo Nix. Bo Nix, the jury's not out all.
Oh yeah. We won't. Yeah.
Still out. Well, the jury's still out on all. I shouldn't even. That's not the phrasing that I should use. Bo Nix. Bo Nix has been a rat.
Yeah.
Like, he's looked good. He looked good against the Bucks, and he looked good this week. But last week he threw for 60 yards.
Okay, that's true.
And he was a disaster against the Steelers. And wasn't very good against the Seahawks either. So yeah, no. Bo Nix has not looked. I wouldn't say that Bo Nix has looked good.
Okay. All right, that gives me some hope. But if Michael Penix comes in one game and throws all over the yard, I'm gonna be in some shambles. Anywho, let's go to the best game of the year probably so far. Ravens, Bengals. What a game this was. No quarterback has lost a game where they threw for 300 plus yards and 5 touchdowns since Mahomes lost that 2018 Rams game.
Rams.
Yep. So that's just how you know it's an elite company. What sucks for Burrow, besides the mishandling of the overtime, but that interception was what sealed the game. It sealed them for overtime for the Ravens. And then the
Why
Bengals
aren't we just running the ball though?
Say again.
Why aren't we just running the ball though at that point?
That's a great question. Not sure. Lets the Ravens kick a game-tying field goal to get to overtime. The Ravens then fumble on the first play of overtime for an immaculate luck for the Bengals. It bounces off Lamar's helmet because he's not even looking. And then the Bengals don't do anything with that drive. They pretty much think, and kind of, not to be fair, because I'm not an actual NFL coach, but when you have that turnover in overtime, you just think, let's just get a field goal, call it a day. So they run the football. They run the football for 3 yards max in all 3 of their plays, and then they kick a 56-yarder. The snap gets fucked up. They blow the
too
kick.
Much stress in your career.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Or your kicking.
Your whole special teams unit, and way too much trust. You got to at least take a shot somewhere to try to get a chunk play. Even 7 yards helps you there. The fumbled snap. Ravens get the ball back. and then they won Derrick Henry rush for 56 yards, and they sealed the game with a Tucker field goal. Were we too worried about the Ravens losing to the Raiders? Are they the best team in the league?
I mean, they should have lost this game, and then 2-3.
Yeah, that's true, but they didn't. Ended up sneaking it out.
I know. I don't
One
think
score
they're the
away
best
from the
team in
Chiefs.
league.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, they had a bad game. They had a bad game against the Raiders, but like this defense and this like secondary in specific looks very suspect. And it's not like it's just been this game. Like the secondary's been trouble.
That's true. The secondary has looked bad. The pass rush
A
has
couple
looked good for the
games.
Ravens. It didn't look great this game. Marlon Humphrey. I've been picking on him the past couple weeks. He did get that ceiling interception off Jamar Chase. Excellent route that he was able to jump, and they got the turnover that they needed.
Went for 190 yards.
Say again.
So Jamar Chase also went for 190 yards.
Oh yeah. Jamar Chase him and Burrow. The connection was back. Higgins looked good. All their guys were getting back. Talk about rhythm. They were getting back into rhythm. It was really just that interception and the fumble or the missed field goal and that terrible debacle, which cost them the game. It was back and forth the whole time. They looked. I mean, the Bengals themselves. You almost feel bad for them because they looked good for 40 minutes, last 10 minutes of that overtime or last overtime is what did it. Derrick Henry looks amazing. They keep giving him 15 plus carries. So that's what you got. That's what you're supposed to do. That's why you have Derrick Henry, because in overtime he's the guy who has the stamina to get a 56-yard rush.
It's a game away.
And Mark Andrews caught passes this game, so congrats to Mark Andrews. Likely with 2 touchdowns again. They were throwing it to a bunch of different tight ends, and Zay Flowers had a pretty big game himself.
Yeah, it was. Everybody had a big game. It was offensive palooza.
It was an offensive palooza.
It was ridiculous. But yeah, pretty epic game. I think the Bengals had a lot more to lose in that game.
Agree.
Which makes it a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
That a couple chances to put things away and couldn't. Because you could be looking back at this game as one of the reasons you didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge game for them.
That's 2 games where like they've been almost perfect offensively and have not won.
Yeah, and that's 2 tough beats that that as you said, when you're looking, why didn't we make the playoffs? Why are we the 7th seed in the AFC? Just snuck in. It's because of these games. They play the Giants next Sunday Night Football. They need this win at this point. They absolutely need all the wins that they can get.
Oh yeah.
So they play the Giants, Browns, an Eagles team that we don't know too much about with their health, and then the Raiders. So I think I said this last episode. Going back into that Ravens game, going to be a massive game for the Bengals. They need to almost be at this point though, 4-0 going into that Ravens game. They could probably lose. Yeah, they could probably lose maybe 1 or 2.
Well, if they go 3-1 and then beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
And you're sitting at 5-5.
Now, then you're looking pretty. But
5-5.
So there's still a path for them. I don't think they're out yet. I don't think anyone should write them out. I still think their offense is spectacular and it's getting better every week. But their defense is bad.
They gotta start winning some football games.
Yeah, they really do. All right.
Yeah, next 2 should be cakewalks.
Yeah, should be. That's the key word. Last one, Rams Packers. Good game. It was actually a really close game. The Packers were up pretty big going into the 4th. Jordan Love threw a pretty bad interception. The Rams fumbled it though. Actually, yeah. That's when the Rams fumbled it. They tried to come back. It wasn't enough. And the Packers took care of business. This Packers defense just continues to take turnovers after turnovers. I think they have 14
It's
turnovers.
surprising.
I think they're first in the NFL in defensive takeaways. Huge reason for their success. Jordan Love, it's funny. He has these, like, that was a bad pick six that he threw in this game. He has these weird moments where he gets into, I don't even know what you call it. I just Brett Favreing it. And, but besides that, he looks spectacular. So they got Tucker Kraft introduced in this game. He had 4 catches for 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. His one touchdown was like 75 yards, broken a bunch of tackles. He looked like Gronk out there. And then his second one right over the middle. So big pickup if people picked him up in fantasy. I don't know what to feel about that. I'm worried about this Packers team a little bit. They just haven't looked like why do they look better with Malik Willis? At least they did on that the Titans game. But that just might be the Titans.
I mean, yeah, they beat the Colts and the Titans.
Yeah, that's true. But this Love, I don't know. Love worries me a little bit. He's a little talk about
I
erratic.
think they're asking Love to do a lot more.
Yeah, that's true.
They're asking Malik to do.
That's fair. Did you see the
Okay,
weird
he'll settle
story
in.
of?
Or maybe he's just Brett Favre.
You see the weird story of Romeo Dobbs?
Mm-mm.
He didn't play this game due to personal reasons, and it came out because he doesn't like the offensive scheme and he doesn't like his plays.
What?
So he just sat out.
So he sat out?
And that's when Christian Watson was out. So he would have been the number 2 wide receiver, maybe even number 1.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
The Packers suspend Romeo Dobbs for conduct detrimental to the team. I don't know what they're doing here. Apparently, he plans to attend Wednesday practice after suspension. So I guess the team told him to quit bitching. And yeah, it said that Dobbs had a meeting on Monday that quote unquote went well. He skipped Thursday and Friday's practices because he was upset with his opportunities in the passing game. And then the missed practices got him suspended.
Weird.
Really weird. Especially because last year he started towards the end really becoming Jordan Love's one of his favorite targets. And I know he's definitely not as good as Reed, but Reed has a drop problem. And they definitely need him out there. He's better than Christian Watson. So, really strange story. I wonder how that turns out. Cuz no one ever gets traded in the NFL these days. So, it'll be interesting to see if they keep him around or not.
Yeah, he'll just rot away on the bench.
That's how normally it happens. They just end up rotting away.
Season when they cut him.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We have the Saints Chiefs tonight. We kind of already did that preview. So let's go to baseball before we leave. Chris, how we feeling? Philly, is it 1-1 with the Mets right now?
It's 1-1. Going
Alright.
back to New York. I've been able to breathe today, which is nice. Game 1 was a disaster. They got one of the best pitching performances from Zach Wheeler that he's ever had. He's always a stud in the postseason, but 7 innings of no run shutout baseball. But they had Kyle Schwarber lead off home run to start the game, and I think they got 1 hit after that until the 9th inning. Bullpen comes in the 8th and completely pisses down their leg. I think they give them 5 runs. So they lose game 1.
Yeah.
And game 2 was trending in that direction. They could not hit a beach ball down 3-0 going to the 6th, and savior Bryce Harper comes up, hits a 2-run home run. All of a sudden, they're back in it. Castellanos goes back to back. Now it's a 3-3 game. This is when things get nuts because Mets hit a home run in the 7th to go up 4-3. And the bottom of the 8th, Bryson Stott hits a 2-run triple to put him up 5-4. They knock him into to go up 6-4. And then the 9th inning, Francisco Lindor gets on, and then Mark Vientos hits his second 2-run home run of the game to tie it at 6-6. And at this point, I'm like, can they just lose this freaking game already so that it's over? But ninth inning, Trey Turner works a walk. He never walks. Harper, they walk him on like 5 pitches. And then Castellanos comes up again to save the day with a walk-off single. And we go home happy. But that's a very quick summary of a game that took probably months off my life. It was a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. I was watching with my dad and we were being monkeys is the best way I think I could describe it.
Just hooting and hollering.
I mean it was like every inning from the 6th on, there was something to yell about, good or bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolute chaos. We go back to New York tomorrow for game 3. I feel pretty good. I think all this Mets magic crap, like, I think they used it all up in that game. So I think the Phillies showed that they're not just going to lay down and die just because this team seems to always find ways to win games.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Phillies are pissed. I think they're embarrassed after the first game. They were getting booed halfway through game 2.
Oh, no.
They cut to Castellanos. I mean, nobody could hit. So it was like everybody was getting booed. It wasn't like they weren't picking on anybody. But Castellanos got booed. And it cut to his face, and you could see him say, like, these fucking people. And then next at-bat homers, next at-bat gets a hit, and then his last at-bat is the walk-off to win the game.
So he proved himself.
So that's like the most Philadelphia baseball
Oh, yeah.
thing that happens. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster of a series,
Oh, I'm sure.
and I don't expect anything less this week to close it out. So
So
win 2 more games, at least one in New York.
before we go, I wanna get the intel. What was it like to get to Washington, getting from Washington or Landover, Maryland to home? Like was it like were you guys nervous about getting there before opening pitch? Were you guys past opening pitch already? Were you guys racing
Yeah,
home?
and the game started like as I was walking out of the stadium, I think. So I just put on the radio.
Okay.
And honestly, I was coming off the high of the football game, so I wasn't in playoff baseball mode yet.
Yeah.
And then when I got home, I was like, all right,
It's time to lock in.
time to lock back in.
Yeah. Football's over for the day.
By
It's
that
time.
point, they already 2-0. Right, yeah, and it was.
Yeah.
I didn't watch any more football. My dad, it's like going to the 9th inning, and he's like, "Oh, Giants are gonna beat the Seahawks," and I was like, "Oh, they really?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't really care." I was like, he's like, "I'm just killing time."
Yeah, just wait for the next pitch.
Commercial break. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So yeah, that was the mindset. Yeah, tomorrow at 5 is game 3, and Wednesday at 5 is game 4. So it's nice I don't have to stay up late.
Yeah, that is nice. And it's kind of like right after your work though. So like you're getting home and just throwing on baseball and it's like work's still going.
I'll plan around it.
All right. Is that better or worse? Like would you rather have the little break or just go right into playoff baseball?
I think I'd rather just go right into it.
Yeah.
Let's get it out of the way. Because then I'd be just sitting waiting for it.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. All right. Well, that's all we got to cover today, right? Gamecocks lost. That wasn't surprising.
Yeah, I saw.
It
Wasn't great,
was
was it?
bad. No, it was bad. I left in the first quarter. It's real bad.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, it was so hot, and I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I know they're not going to score another. They didn't score a touchdown. I knew. I've seen. It's funny with being here for 4 years. I've seen it all. So like, I know when they're not going to score, and when they're going to just pussyfoot around the whole time. So, all right. Well,
We got Bama next week.
oh wait, we had a comment about Watson a long time ago. Apparently, he did not quit on the team. Prior to the shared clip, both Watson and Amari Cooper were individually counting 12 men in the huddle. It was realized Watson took off and took a penalty, or walked off and took a penalty. Still doesn't make sense for Watson to walk off. Throw a tight end out there. Get him out of here.
Whole time
He's the
out.
starting quarterback. Anyways, thank you all for listening. We're planning to try to have an NBA pod Wednesday. We'll let everyone know on social media if that happens. But thank you.